Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. Well, the first thing to do is put her in a dress. She's getting too big to run around in boys' clothes with kids. The Beverly Hillbillies' tough, no-nonsense grandma was played by the funny Irene Ryan. But Ryan's real life was nothing like her TV character. She was an amazing performer with lots of experience. But what happened when the show ended? Ryan was so much more than just grandma. Her career included vaudeville shows, radio, Broadway plays, and TV. Even though Ryan got married and made good money, she had problems with a house that bothered her. Trouble came right when she was about to start an exciting new part of her work life. Her rise to fame, her last days, and the mark she left behind are all interesting and not talked about enough parts of Irene Ryan's life story. Born Irene Noble in El Paso, Texas on October 17, 1902, Irene Ryan started her show business career when she was young. It was clear from early on that Irene was meant to be a star, but she didn't start her professional career until she was 11 years old when she sang Pretty Baby at a talent contest at San Francisco's Valencia Theater and won $3. Since she was too young to work under California's child work laws, she got a job with a theater company by lying about her age when she turned 14. She really wanted to get into the business. Because she wasn't interested in school, she quit high school after 2 years and jumped into acting. She spent the next 4 years getting better at acting in theater before starting her career in entertainment. Irene found her true love performing musical comedy and variety shows around California. During that time, she met Tim Ryan, another vaudeville performer. By the time they got married in 1922, they had already been a team on stage and off stage. They were married for 20 years and worked together for the same amount of time, which helped them become very successful in entertainment. Irene and Tim Ryan started in vaudeville, but they later moved to radio and had their own show called Tim and Irene. The team became famous after their funny Dumb Dora act, which showed a sweet but clumsy woman, became popular. As they got more famous, they appeared on classic shows from that time, like The Bob Hope Show and The Rudy Valley Show. While Irene was doing great as a radio comedian, she started to make it in movies. 11 funny short films with her and Tim were made as a group. Will You Stop?, Hamlet and Eggs in 1937, The Wacky Family in 1936, and others were important works by this group in 1937. Their on-screen chemistry showed their real-life friendship. Though they were both successful in their careers, their marriage ended in 1943. Even though they went separate ways, their work partnership continued. They stayed involved in each other's movie projects. During World War II, comedian Bob Hope made it his job to entertain American soldiers stationed far from home. Since they had worked together before on The Bob Hope Show, Irene was happy to help. Hope went on a world tour with the United Service Organizations, USO, performing for troops and visiting hospitals for veterans. Even after the war ended, her dedication showed when she performed to cheer up the Allied forces during the Berlin airlift in 1948. The importance of what they did was also talked about by Bob Hope, who understood how important laughter was during hard times. Trust me when I tell you that the sound of laughter on the front lines is priceless, especially to the brave men who are going through the terrible things that happen there. Imagine those men showing their thanks to me. Think about what they're doing for you and me as they come up to you to shake your hand and whisper, "Thanks." The thought of that makes your throat tight like Grant's tomb. Giving back to the troops and making a real difference with her skills was more than just another show for Irene. As the 1950s went on, Irene Ryan slowly grew her star power by appearing in several television shows. However, nothing could beat the huge breakthrough that was about to come her way in the 1960s during the making of the Beverly Hillbillies. The Clampett family's feisty, no-nonsense grandmother, Granny Daisy Moses, was the role Ryan wanted. She was so right for the part that she almost didn't get it. Paul Henning's casting company was supposed to find the perfect granny for the show, and Ryan wasn't even thought about. Irene was very disappointed when the company said they had doubts about whether she was right for the job. Ryan, determined not to be ignored, took bold action. She called Paul Henning and made a daring request for herself. "Paul, would you mind if I didn't bring my shawl and gray wig to prove my point?" Those 7 or 8 hour filming days would be too much for anybody older to handle, as pointed out by the El Paso Times. Her enthusiasm and confidence earned her a second chance. However, in a later interview with MEV Legends, Henning gave another version of what happened. He remembered the time Ryan came by his office and asked her directly if she felt she could play hillbilly music perfectly. She then told a story that proved she was the best person for the job. "Are you kidding?" she said. "My theater company, and I had a show in Arkansas. We asked the manager why he hadn't let the crowd in while we waited backstage for the curtain to go up. He said he would have to take out seats from the theater if he did. Yeah, I know hillbillies. For Henning, that was enough. Irene Ryan became Granny Moses with her funny sense of humor, endless energy, and lots of experience. When it came time for screen testing, Henning remembered that Ryan's audition had already decided who would win. As soon as Irene Ryan read the lines, she rushed over to tell me, "That's Granny. She was simply amazing," Henning said. He explained that the other person was there to test for the character of Granny. This was the turning point in Irene Ryan's career. She was cast as Granny Daisy Moses on the Beverly Hillbillies. The show became an instant hit after it started in 1962. The show followed Buddy Ebsen's character, Jed Clampett, a simple farmer who became rich overnight after finding oil on his land. Instead of enjoying life in his country hometown, he moved his family to Beverly Hills, setting them up for a funny clash with the city's rich people. Max Baer Jr. played the charming yet lovable Jethro Bodine. Donna Douglas played the pretty and gentle Ellie Mae Clampett, and Irene Ryan played the strict grandmother who kept everyone in line. Ebsen was also part of the group. The Beverly Hillbillies broke the record for the fastest climb to the top in television history within 3 weeks of its start. This clearly showed how quickly viewers fell in love with the show. According to IMDb, it did what no other show at the time did. It beat the viewer numbers of Bob Hope's famous show. A few secrets were kept from the public by the creators behind the scenes so that the show could keep its magic. The Beverly Hillbillies has been a favorite for many years, and new viewers can enjoy it every night on reruns. Ryan continued to be careful even after getting the job. Even though the show became a huge TV hit, she couldn't shake the feeling that she might be fired at any moment. While talking with the Star-Gazette in 1965, she did admit, "No matter where we are, I'm the first one to arrive on set. I have always been on time. To be honest, I still feel the same way I did when I was younger. That is scared that I might be fired." It made sense to be afraid. Ryan had been a hustler her whole career, doing vaudeville acts, radio shows, and jumping into movies and television whenever she got the chance. She quickly learned that in the uncertain world of show business, you could never count on things staying the same. She kept her wits and stayed ready, even when she was at the top of her fame, because she knew that anything could happen at any time. When Irene Ryan first played Granny in the Beverly Hillbillies, she was 59 years old. The fact that she looked much older than her real age in the show was one of the most surprising parts of her performance. Ryan skillfully played an old grandmother in the 1962 series start, even though she was only 59 years old at the time. Since she was Jed Clampett's mother-in-law, and Jed was not exactly a young man, Granny, who often talked about the Civil War and events from the 1800s, was supposed to be in her 90s. Even in her later years, Granny kept her reputation as a tough, old lady. Ryan was still under 70 when the series ended in 1971, which is decades younger than Granny's suggested age. The makeup team did dramatic daily makeovers to make up for the age difference. Ryan wore heavy makeup to make her look older on set every day. The team used a mix of wrinkle shading and contouring tricks to give her a more aged appearance than she really had, by adding depth and highlighting her wrinkles. She made it even more believable with her special gray wig and her old-fashioned, vintage clothes. Back in the day, viewers of the Beverly Hillbillies couldn't tell that Ryan wasn't really an old woman because of the show's smart use of makeup tricks. Shows like The Golden Girls owe thanks to such methods, which later became normal for movie and television makeup. The change looked smooth on the older, lower-quality TVs from the 60s and 70s. After some time had passed and high-definition cameras were made, some of the makeup tricks became more obvious. Still, nobody ever questioned Ryan's age because of her convincing acting. Over the course of the show's 200 episodes, Irene played Granny. Irene was one of several people honored over the 9 seasons of the series, which ended in 1971, following a string of successful nominations and wins. She was nominated for Outstanding Continued Performance by an Actress in a Series at the Emmys in 1963 and 1964. She was nominated twice. For a long time, Ryan was excited to play Granny. Retirement was the one word that didn't exist for Irene Ryan. She had no plans to stop acting and wanted to keep playing the part forever. She clearly stated her goals in a conversation with the Sydney Morning Herald. "Give up the ghost? My boots are my death wish, honey." Giving up was never a choice for Ryan. Despite her wildest dreams coming true on the Beverly Hillbillies, she learned that her fans could only recognize her when she talked. "My voice gives me away," she said. "Until I say something, no one pays any attention to me as I walk down the street. Ryan was in town for a one-time show at the South Sydney Junior Leagues Club when they talked. Even though she didn't say how her act worked, she did hint that her bag had some of Granny's recognizable things. In a live show, the character amazed the audience. She added that she performed the character in Las Vegas and that it was a huge hit, showing the character's great appeal. Ryan was a very different person when she wasn't filming. Despite her strong connection to Granny, she had a pleasant personality, a career that lasted over 50 years, and she performed in almost every type of show business. Burlesque was the one form of performance she had never done before. I won't tell my age, but I've been in the entertainment business for more than 50 years. The only type I've avoided is burlesque. I was never one for that, she said while laughing. However, she was determined to keep going at a fast pace. I want to keep playing grandma until I'm worn out. When people say they're going to retire, I think they mean it literally. Broadway was Ryan's next big break after the Beverly Hillbillies. She didn't want to stay in Hollywood and instead went back to what she loved, performing live on stage. She talked to the El Paso Times about her excitement, saying, "Although nothing can ever replace an actor's time on stage, television is here to stay and is probably the most powerful form of entertainment in human history." Playing the part of Berta, the spirited grandma in Bob Fosse's musical Pippin, was a new challenge for Ryan on Broadway. A Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Musical came her way in 1973, a year when she was still amazing audiences. Despite being in her 70s, she had already received 2 Emmy nominations for her role as Granny before this. Every night she brought the house down with her performance of No Time at All, which became an instant hit. Her ability to be the center of attention was praised by the New York Times, who wrote, "Those who have watched Pippin know that she only spent about 10 minutes on stage before the show ended. After she left the stage, John Rubinstein stayed on stage, frozen in place until her applause died down." Ryan may have been small in size at 70, but she was full of life and would often stay backstage with the crew after her shows ended. She handled Broadway's busy pace with the ease of someone half a century old. Thanks to her years of smart investing and careful planning, Ryan had made sure she had a good life financially. When she died, her net worth was $1 million. She kept acting to the very end even though she had a stroke while on stage. She was flown back to Los Angeles and died there shortly after. Glioblastoma and atherosclerotic heart disease were the official reasons given for her death. Perhaps more than anything else, acting was Irene Ryan's passion. Even in her last days, she continued to give her all to her acting, showing the determination and will that had made Granny of the Beverly Hillbillies an iconic character. Ryan left her whole fortune to the Irene Ryan Foundation, which she set up to help young people pursue acting as a career path. She was so selfless that she made sure her money would keep helping people long after she died. The press of Atlantic City reports that Ryan, who did not have any close family members to whom she left anything, gave her whole fortune, worth over $1,000, to a scholarship organization. This left a legacy of theater scholarship opportunities for students, making sure that artists of all kinds will have financial help in the years to come. As she neared the end of her life, Ryan was making her Broadway debut as Berthe, a regally energetic medieval grandmother in the musical Pippin. She had made her acting debut when she was 70 years old. The fact that she was nominated for a Tony for her performance shows how talented she was. However, she was taken to Los Angeles' St. John's Hospital after collapsing on stage during a concert on March 10, 1973. She had a stroke and died on April 26. Anyone who knew her, whether on set, in the audience, or behind the scenes, would agree with Buddy Ebsen's assessment that she was a joy to work with in an interview. Inside Irene Ryan's abandoned house, Granny Moses's legacy may have crumbled to dust, but Ryan's true legacy lives on. There was a selfless soul committed to giving back behind the funny antics, sharp one-liners, and outstanding performances. Her real home, unlike the fancy Beverly Hills mansion seen on television, was a small piece of land that had fallen apart over the years. According to urban exploration stories and reports, the house is mostly untouched with her personal belongings, career items, and furniture all over the place. On the dusty shelves, you can find framed pictures, old newspaper articles, and other keepsakes that show us her life when she wasn't being photographed. Her legacy will go on long after her home has been abandoned. Irene Ryan was more than simply Hollywood's Granny. She was a beacon of hope and guidance for countless others, and her legacy lives on in the joy she brought to viewers and the doors she opened for aspiring performers. Like, subscribe, and turn on alerts for more stuff like this if you enjoyed this in-depth look into Irene Ryan's and Daisy Granny Moses's lives. Get ready for more.